what it is doing now. So I first got the real market data, and I did cross-check somewhere. Yeah, this is indeed the current prices. And then it asked me, what do you want to do? I said, build. So I just said, build me a trading strategy based on real data. So as I understand, like each of these commands, basically your sandboxes are being invoked. I think, is this Claude, is it flow-nexus that is creating all of this code, right? Which is Claude Flow in the,
Well, it's actually Claude creating the code within the structure of the MCP call.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and click on the sandbox execute for a sec. Yeah. So what's happening here is we're sending. There's a couple different ways to send code to these sandboxes. You can basically upload files. You can inject the code directly into the request of the to execute, which is what's happening right here. Or you can sort of do a combination of both, where you might inject a GitHub API key and say, grab the latest version of this code from some location. But
Okay, so
so now scroll down, and it's interesting that Dragons is doing that, and he was getting. I think the way he was asking was confusing the system, possibly, because I'm not seeing any indication of mocks at all from my side. I can see the sandboxes being created on the E2B service. Scroll down a little bit.
I specifically said it not to use neural. I said don't use
Oh,
neural patterns.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The neural. I'm still working on the neural stuff. And you could do the neural stuff as well. You just got to do it. You could like tell it to use my Roo fan system in the sandboxes.
Mm-hmm. So it seems to have done something now. I've
Yeah,
created
so
this strategy.
yeah, that's it. That's how. And now you could say, ask it, can I use the workflow system to automate this or something?
What is this workflow system?
This allows you to invoke more complex multi-step workflows that need to execute over an extended period of time. Click on the little drop down. So now you can see it's creating a workflow. It's doing data market collection. It's creating an agent, a research agent. This is very similar to how the Claude Flow system works, right? Now it's asking it to assign an agent to it. So it's creating different agents. Those agents are essentially different running machines that do the task. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's going to execute the workflow. You click that and see that it's saying here are the inputs in terms of thresholds for when it should do a trade or when it needs to handle slippage and different things. So again, you're vibing yourself a trading bot. Click there. Yeah, this will tell you the status. Success, that means it's working. Keep going. Now, this is the part that is going to actually execute the workflow, setting up automated trading workflows. I find it interesting that it works for Montjuic, but wasn't working for. It works for me, but that's joy. Welcome to my life. It works for me. Let me fix. Okay, now click on the queue status. This means it worked. It's in the queue. That means it's good. Click on the audit, and I love the fact it just figures out that it's got the queue, it's got the audit trails, it's got all these things it can use to sort of self-determine how to sort of solve its own problems. So I've given it enough tools to sort of self-identify.
So, okay,
And
finally we've got the results here. What does it say? Okay, done that.
okay,
Okay,
so
these are
what
the
happens?
agents.
Yeah, so when BTC drops 4%, it'll buy. When ETH Well,
Okay.
hopefully this illustrates my vision. Anyway, there's still bugs to be sorted out, but what you see here is exactly the sorts of things I want to do with this, right? If you can put this into like a security system or monitor for weird activities happening, people trying to hack or people trying to take advantage of my challenge system. Every time something that's a little odd happens, the system is smart enough to automatically have agents that are looking and working and doing everything that it needs to do while I sleep. More importantly, the Rube's Got to Eat department. It's people can use this in to learn how to do agentic flows in a way that's literally just nothing more than using Chat GPT or Claude Desktop. And to Jed's point, maybe even on the mobile phone.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're in demo mode. So what you're missing here, so what you might want to ask it is like, how can I integrate real market data sources like Alpaca into this?
No, I did ask it to use real APIs.
Oh, but did you give it the API? Did you sign up for the API and give it the API key?
Uh, no, I did not.
So that's hallucinated,
Oh, okay.
right?
So what should I ask?
If you didn't give it an API key for Alpaca or some other free source of data, it's 100% hallucinating that.
Okay. No, here is what it had done before. So it picked it up from. So here when it build
Yeah,
not the-
you injected, okay, well, not hallucinated, but you injected the current data that it looked up when it searched the web, and then you put that
okay,
data in.
okay,
But
okay.
so live API, a coin, okay, maybe it's saying prove to me that it's using the CoinGecko API. Like, how are you using the CoinGecko API without actually having the API key?
What should I ask? Sorry, how are
Like,
you?
how are you getting real data from CoinGecko if you don't have the API key? It's gonna say, "Ooh, you're right. I'm not getting it." Like I can tell, I'm getting good at telling it when it's like kind of, telling me what it wants. Like this is pretty clearly not getting data. Like how are you getting it unless it was magically able to sign up for the service? You've caught an important detail. Yeah, you're lying to me. That's the important detail.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, look,
fair
no
enough.
API. Oh, hey, there you. Oh, hey, no API keys required. I've been sorry, Clyde. I just assume you're lying to me. I'd never heard of a service that doesn't require an API key. Color me surprised. Scroll down. Oh, again, you're absolutely right to question this. Here's the complete explanation. CoinGecko free tiers we're using. That is clever. I'm not gonna lie. It actually found the free service and then used it. So limitations
Okay.
10 calls per minute. Now you're going to say make sure that the agent and workflow works within the rate limits. Now, dragons might Hey, Dragon, did you install this a few days ago? Maybe there's a chance you might have installed a version that I built like a few days ago as like a global install, or maybe you didn't use latest. That I'm just
Yeah,
confused
I
by
didn't use the latest today. I just, did like a install again. Let me check which version it says that it's using. Just give me a second.
All right, so this is the perfect example of how you're going to use the system. So again, a bit of common sense, right? It told us that you can only do 10 to 50 calls per minute or whatever it is. So, and I could see in the previous deployment that it was doing a lot more than that. So you can execute in the sandbox additional updates. So you can optimize it, you can redeploy it, and now you can do a better interval that's not going to max out. It probably would have failed gracefully, hopefully, but it would have failed. Now you can now next thing you're going to ask it is how can I create a workflow that can actually start doing real trades? And are there any free APIs that can, I doubt it, but maybe they're free APIs. To be honest, I never thought to look for free APIs. It just never occurred to me there would even be free APIs.
Okay. It's not allowing me to type because
Yeah,
I think it's working.
I see. I see someone mention Hyperliquid Dex. We 3 separate API calls. And there's another thing. Now that we know that there's free options, you could legitimately sign up for multiple, or we could use multiple requests concurrently to get around the 10 limit by just basically using multiple sandboxes and having them run concurrently versus having one sandbox make the request every second. You can increase your frequency.
Okay.
Now,
Mhm.
so now you might want to say, can you run a back testing?
What does backtesting do?
Backtesting looks at previous historical trades and allows you to create a sort of algorithm of sorts that's optimized based on what's happened previously. So you might say, based on the current trading environment, the current state of whatever, can you do a backtest that looks for similar patterns historically and then optimize the system based on sort of backtesting?
Okay.
So now what you're doing is you're creating a backtesting system, which is, you know, gonna create a whole other series of things that it can look at. Now, once I get my neural network stuff sorted out, you can then apply that to a custom trained neural network that is hyper optimized to do specific trade styles or tasks that are only needed for that one particular task. So, for example, if I'm looking at training a neural network to understand potential vulnerabilities in my system, I might create a neural network that only looks at particular forms of exploit, like SQL injections or people, creating multiple accounts, same IP address being used. Right now, I'm not overly concerned because it's an alpha, and the more people try it, the more data I have to sort of look at to optimize it. So I kind of want people to use it and break it, and I'm not overly concerned with the costs. Obviously, I don't want huge costs, but you become my testing data.
Mhm.
Keep in mind, I don't see your data. Well, I guess hypothetically I could see your data. I'm not, because I don't want to. I don't want to be in a position where I might get in trouble for seeing it. So I chose to obfuscate it so I can't actually go and see it. And I could take this a step further. I could probably use some kind of like in-flight encryption and other things once we're going, once this is working pretty good. All right, so the backtest result for some important issues with the current strategy. So scroll up a little bit. It's So I don't know what the problems were. Okay, here we go. It's going to tell us.
So one,
So
one
just a quick
question. So where actually could I see what that thing is doing? So I need to log in that sandbox or?
Yeah, so when you do sandbox execute, and there's several other sandbox options. You can do code execution, you can do like sessions and like a history, file operations. Anyway, essentially the most useful is basically creating like a series of like things you can execute against. So for example, when I use the Serafina Judge, what I'm doing is I'm actually deploying a Claude code CLI in non-interactive mode, passing the Anthropic key to it, and then giving it a really detailed multi-step analysis that it needs to do to sort of understand whether the code is good or bad. You can do exactly the same thing. So you could in this case you could say, can I use like ask it, can I use um, the Claude code what do we call it, sandbox template, and have a more complex, swarm setup or something, and it would allow you to do that. So here we go. Back to real win rate, 100% win. Yeah. So this is what you're doing right now is basically trying to, and remember, previous history doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work in the future. So when you're using as kind of, and I'm jumping around in my brain, I hope this all makes sense to you guys. But when you're using these systems to optimize workflows, what you don't want it to do is basically create workflows, or in the case of trading, that are long horizon. The I've created a system that allow you to work in very, very small temporal elements, right? I can work within the structure of millisecond structures or nanosecond structures, which are much more easier to predict. I can't really predict what the cost or the price of a stock is going to be tomorrow, but I can do a really good job of predicting what the stock or price of that's going to be in the next 10 to 100 milliseconds because it's a much shorter window that I can train against. So when you're thinking about these systems, you got to start thinking about whether or not I'm trying to optimize for what's going to happen immediately in the blink of an eye, or am I trying to optimize for what I'm going to do 2 weeks from now? Optimizing for 2 weeks for certain problems aren't that hard to do if it's an obvious thing. And I used the analogy on a call yesterday. It's like, predicting weather. When there's a storm, coming over the lake towards my house, and I can literally see it out the window, and the forecast is saying it's going to hit in 10 minutes, there's pretty much a 99% chance it's going to hit in the next 10 minutes. If I try to predict whether there's going to be a storm coming over the lake next week, on next Thursday, and it's going to hit at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on next Thursday, the percentage goes from 99 down to like 20 or 10 because it's really hard to get that level of prediction in these systems. That's why stocks and predictive types of systems that are based on time series information work so well, because I'm no longer looking for next Thursday. I'm looking for 100 milliseconds from now, which is what you're doing. Hopefully that
Just
made.
one. No, please carry on.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
So, sorry, I'll ask. So obviously we are not training a neural network here. So when the code that we were creating and executing in every sandbox, right? This code is Claude determining how it needs to execute it, right? I mean, there is no neural network being used here. Is that correct at all?
No, not in this one.
No, not in this one. So it's
What you're doing right now is more traditional algorithmic trading. So there is
okay.
no neural network. You're doing back testing, you're doing optimization, you're doing, in this case, paper trading. It's fake.
Okay.
You're trying to simulate what the trades are going to be, but you're not actually trading. You're faking it. Now, a neural network is going to take it a step further. A neural network provides you the mechanism to get that sort of really specific understanding of what it needs to do on a more granular level. So the next step here would be I think we saw that there's some issues with the neural network, but you could ask it to try to, ask it like, how can I start integrating neural networks to optimize this, and what are the benefits?
But what we can do with if this app were or this strategy was published was up, like someone was talking about gamification, right? I mean, this is all demo, so there's no real. So we could actually monitor the actual prices and perform mock trading and see whether what we have what we have created as strategies, how effective they are. That is your intent, I'm presuming, for your
Yes,
challenges.
and folks who are using my neural trading system are getting that. So what you're seeing here, you're kind of doing it yourself. But if you were using my neural trading system, you have all the tools available to you, and now you've got a mechanism to go from this kind of Claude code approach to one that's a little more friendly with this interface, and it can use all the things I've already built. It's got all the integrations, and it can just take it and deploy it. So you're kind of doing a more rudimentary version of that.
Okay, thank you.
It's pretty, this is as far as agentic engineering goes, this is as good as I can get. Right? It can do a lot, and I think it's almost overwhelming. It's like because it can do so much, right? Dragon, did you
Yeah,
ever figure out?
yes. So, just like again, like a short screen share what I managed to do, because okay, I did like a different thread that was like I would say thread that I did testing, so it did some assumption, in the beginning. So I tried like now using, okay, list me what I can do, start like freshly, and spawn a team of agents and design like a testing agent system based on the specification. I generated this specification a while ago. And
Okay.
then it started, with the, swarm in it, and it started spawning agents.
And you
So
again,
yeah,
you'll recognize this from anyone that uses Claude
yeah.
Flow. The key difference
Scaling,
is,
yeah,
yeah,
creating
it's
the
using,
workflow, yeah.
this is in the cloud, right? So this is now cloud-based, not local, as you can probably tell.
Yeah, and okay, now it wants something more. So it did like tried some neural training, task orchestration, and then okay, I ask it start, you know, creating test generation agent. It started creating a sandbox and executing it. So now it like, started like really through flow as expected.
Okay, so note to self, make
Yeah.
sure you, for now, use the at latest on the MPX.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to get this. Can you actually just keep scrolling down? I'm just curious what it ends up doing.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I stopped too early.
Yeah, the latest means you're going to get my latest. Now, that also means I might break what was working yesterday. It's a nature of this type of work. But okay, add the practical examples you can build, add learning capabilities. Yeah,
Because
it's pretty
I
cool.
defined a couple of more, but
Yeah,
like
no,
that. Yeah, yeah.
and you can take this way further too. So you've got
Yeah, I know. So
you got the
this is
deep
yeah, yeah,
try
yeah.
the deep research. So
Yeah, yeah.
you can go in here and you can like use deep research to create the world's most powerful swarm, blah blah blah. Test it, validate it, optimize it, and let me know when you're done.
We'll try that, as
Right?
soon as possible.
And I actually kind of like the Claude desktop approach because for a lot of and especially if I can get on my phone, I can just kind of fool around with it when I'm on the train going to the Toronto meetup and see what crazy stuff I can build when I'm on the go.
I mean, that will really be engaging because one of the things I think you said in the previous session is like people kind of get scared when they see the Visual Studio thing, right? But this kind of really makes it real for everyone. Most people
Yeah.
kind of pay engagement.
Well, that the learning was, again, I'm doing a lot with the neural trader stuff. It's been really popular for me, and a lot of the people who are showing up are not agentic engineers. They're not programmers. They're technical money guys or people who know enough to be dangerous. And it became pretty clear that if I wanted to capitalize on that opportunity, I needed to make it more tailored to the types of people who actually want these tools. And that wasn't VS Code. And it probably wasn't even a website. It was like ChatGPT or Claude or something, and they could just go in there and ask a few questions, fool around with it, and get a feel for how it works. And that was the guy. That was kind of what I was going towards. By the way, I'm not having any trouble with my neural network deployments, which is a classic. Works for me. Oh no, no, I did have a couple tests fail.
If you could share your your basically prompts, we can cross-test them on Cloud Desktop or other, just to give you feedback, like is it working on Windows or other stuff. So just a
Yeah, so
prompts of what were the prompts you used, and we will we'll back run them.
yeah, I'm getting a few of the things are failing. So what I'm doing here is I'm running a test here in Rue again. I like Rue for that because it's separate. So I basically said use the flow-nexus MCP to test the neural networks and ensure everything works. And then it's gonna create the list my templates. I've got different, I've created basically all the templates that, Jed and Ocean would probably be familiar with it from their work with the Rue fan system. But basically, it's kind of an implemented version, a hosted version of that. So now it's deploying that. Now when I'm going to look here, I'm actually looking at all the different responses as well. So in this case, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to see this. This is a fail, so I'm going to have to fix that. This is an easy fail. This means that there's just no permission to actually do it. It's a common sort of database issue. Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to do the next one. This one actually worked. So looks like it was smart to check if I was actually authorized. That's why I included the auth tool for exactly this scenario. So what this means is I essentially don't have permission set correctly for this particular row. So that's an easy one to fix. And so then we go here and it's looking to do a training. So now I'm going to look at the response as well. That worked. Success true. It's the training executed. And then I'm going to look here. And this is why Roo is so great, because it gives me both the what it's asking for, which is up here, the model IDs and the predictions, and then it's giving me the response and the confidence. It looks like that worked as well. And the neural cluster in it, which is going to create a cluster of these. And again, multiple small neural networks. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think micro neural networks are going to be the thing. So everything I'm doing is based around the concepts of micro connected neural networks that each forms a synapse and they communicate with other neural networks to create a broader neural network kind of concept. Then it's going to deploy the neural network. And we see here that it works. Yep, results true. Capabilities, training, inference. It's good. To be honest, this looks like it works enough that you probably could create a trading system with it, even with some of the breakage. It's probably why it worked. Why I thought it worked. Here we go. So now the response is it created a neural network. We can see it uses a mesh topology. And keep in mind the topologies are important when you're creating these. A mesh is kind of like an interconnected structure where all the agents can kind of collaborate with all the others. Sometimes when you're doing this sort of thing, you might not actually want to use a mesh. You might want to use a star topology or other sort of structures. A star would be like a hub and spoke kind of approach, and there's other ways. Depending on what problem you're trying to solve, you could choose different architectures and topologies. This system automatically just determined that was optimal. And we're going to go see what else it did here. Oh, looks like the sandbox failed. Yeah, this is the same problem you were having. So I can fix that. That'll be easy. And I think that relates to the original problem. It didn't actually create the sandbox. Now it's going to do a benchmark. Probably with no sandbox, it's likely not going to do anything, but we'll see. No, it looks like it's sort of kind of working. All right. Yeah, you have a question?
No, I tested in Cloud Desktop as well. And this is what I found it worked actually, testing wise. So if I'm just sharing on the chat what I found on Cloud Desktop. Just a second, I will just Control X. It's a limit. So this is what it tells me. So I've shared the public link as well of the test. So if you click on the link, you will see what I did. That Claude.ai link.
Let's take a look here. Oh, you actually, and this is the other cool part. With the Cloud Desktop, you can actually share your actual chats, and then people can copy and paste it or run with it, create your own conversation from it. All right, what do we got here? I'm going to let me move this to my. I got too many monitors. Let me check my calendar quickly and make sure I don't have an upcoming call. Nope. My wife, by the way, Brenda, she manages my calendars, so she puts little buffers in for me now, so I'm not as the 12-hour days with no bathroom breaks is no longer a thing. All right. Apparently, I've got work issues. All right, what do we got here? This is the copy of chat. Okay, so this is cool, by the way. Maybe this is how we should do the bug testing. All right, so you said use flow-nexus MCP tools to test the neural networks and ensure everything works properly. It's exactly what I would do. We can see the request. Now, what response? So same sort of thing I'm doing. Flow-nexus failed. Yeah, okay. Sandbox, same issue I'm getting. So what we're seeing here is the sandbox isn't deploying. I think we determined it's a row level policy issue. So I'll fix that here in a moment. I can probably fix this without ever actually pushing any code, which is the other benefit.
what is the test user 001? It's obviously not my user ID. So what does it do? It just creates randomly an ID, I'm presuming, in flow-nexus. Is that what
Yeah,
it does?
I might need to enforce user IDs better.
Okay.
And yeah, so what it's doing is it's just randomly creating a user ID. I should probably force it to actually use your user ID, which is this, by the way.
Hmm.
This looks like it is. So one of two things might have happened. It might have actually went ahead and previously created a new user. I don't know. It's hard to say. I could look at a database and see, but I think I might have made it a little bit too permissive. But we're seeing that the it's failing, and this is the same problem. Permission issue. Yeah, it's the row level policy that I was talking about. You can see that it's using the nano structure. So I've got different structures. Depending on the training, I charge more tokens. So nano is the cheapest. Let's see what else we got here. This is just training data, nothing major there. Looks like that worked. Training status. So it's kind of working. It's working enough that it probably can do what it needs to do. And that's why I thought it was working. I just needed to do a little more validation, apparently. So the workflows working, performance benchmark, inference, that's working. Creating a mesh proof of learning. This is cool. Proof of learning is a really good way to do it. So what the proof of learning does is basically creates a kind of well, exactly what it sounds like. It's unsupervised learning, but it rewards the model for positive learning attributes, kind of like a crypto style sort of proof of stake. Um, we didn't tell it to do that, by the way. It figured that out itself, which is cool. You could tell it to try different consensus mechanisms and determine what the best consensus mechanism is. It's using my DAA protocol to do that as using the WASM. So it's embedding the WASM directly in the edge function. So I've compiled my neural network architecture to a WASM that I deployed as an edge function, and it's utilizing that, which is cool. So that's working as expected. This is pretty, I don't know, maybe I'm easily impressed, but this is pretty crazy.
Hmm.
It's deployed. Yeah, so it's not deploying the nodes. Okay. These are all easy things to fix. Yep, okay, so it actually did require the user ID handle, so it figured that out itself. Okay. Same. So I just confirmed I had the same exact problem. So I'll be able to fix that momentarily.
Now I'm presuming I can just ask because it to raise a GitHub issue from within Cloud Desktop and to the repo as well.
Yeah,
So
well,
that's the way we can do it.
Well, what I was thinking of possibly doing was adding another MCP tool that directly allows you to create issues in my GitHub repo directly from the tool. Now, the only problem with that is I might suffer from the Claude Flow where I've got like 500 issues I never look at. But so I'm a little overwhelmed, and I got to do something I got to do an update to Claude Flow as well. But never, that's a different problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm sure maybe speaking for many, but personally, I've had the ambition of being able to contribute to the code base, I think, at some point in time. I think it will be like if we can, I think, find a way of, I mean, again, I come from not having coded for years, right? But then the ability to now locate the issue, log it, and I probably create and probably help with some of this core code bases. So maybe I'm sure there are lots of people here who might want to do that.
Yeah, that is my biggest challenge. I'm one guy with a lot of bots and a lot of people paying me to do stuff, and I'm stretched in too many different directions. What we probably need if we need to figure a way for us to better collaborate. And I'm not even necessarily against open sourcing the flow-nexus system. I just don't know how to do it in a way that is going to be secure. Like if I made this open right now, there's a high likelihood it would be, hacked very quickly and exploited because of it being open. So I'm just not sure how to do that in a way that's doesn't jeopardize the entire platform itself. So maybe I need to create a trusted group of folks that help collaborate to start, maybe, or I don't know.
Just need approvers, right? I mean, I submitted a few pull requests to flow-nexus, and that you're still guarded by, you know, the security is such that you have to approve the merge, right?
Yeah, it's just it's Cloudflow probably. I think but
No, I was flow-nexus actually. There's a few PRs that I put up.
well, there's no code in the flow-nexus repo. There's actually a different repo for the actual core code for the system.
Okay, maybe it's Cloudflow, but it's because I forked it. I forked something and I submitted a few. Anyway, is there a reason? I mean, pull requests from forks should be sufficient to ensure that nothing's getting in the system that you don't want to get in the system, right?
Well, a lot of the pull request yours, I haven't looked at yours to be honest, but the a lot of my pull requests I'm seeing have like 40,000 changes, and I'm like, I can't validate 40,000 changes. And then there was several that had like vulnerabilities that I don't know if they were purposefully added or mistakenly added, but regardless, the result is the same. So then I'm like, well, once I saw the people trying to put in backdoors and things and trying to steal information, I'm like, I don't know how to really handle this in a way that doesn't consume my entire life on this project. And keep in mind, I'm juggling, 70-hour work weeks across dozens and dozens of customers. So this is like a hobby project. So
Yep.
what we need to figure out, back to your point, is like some kind of like organizational structure around this stuff that I'm not the bottleneck, which I 100% am at the moment.
Well, I think there's two things. One is, like you said, you can have some people that are, sort of sanctioned approvers. I think you've already got probably some candidates for that. But then the other part of it is, is there an agentic solution? Because in part, some of the pull requests that I've sent, because you've got GitHub Copilot set up already, it gave me feedback on what I sent and said you should probably this would be more consistent with what's already in there. So I made the changes that Copilot told me. And it is, in theory, you could have other agents that you feel are kind of vetting for and looking for the problems that might get introduced. You still have people that do the final merge, but I think that you could have a lot of agentic sort of vetting of anything that's trying to come into the system.
Yeah.
They're still vulnerable to prompt attacks or prompt injection.
You were 100% vulnerable to prompt injections. That's when people in the mix come in. But I think from, sort of taking it where Michael is going, I think we could probably do some sort of CI/CD pipeline and then create a kind of workflow based maybe even on my workflow system that I've been showing you guys today that does some kind of multi-step validation, much like how my Serafina judge system works. And I've already made the judging system essentially use Claude Code and Claude Flow to analyze the submissions of these challenges to verify that they're good, solid, functional, don't have backdoors already. It might just be a different use of what I've already built for that purpose.
I think
With a
that's
human in the with a human at the end of the rainbow. There was yeah. So turns out there was an issue with the MCP on the neural training system. I was using the wrong. No. I think I was. Yeah, I think I was using the wrong service key. Yeah, I think that's the problem. A lot of code in this thing, and but I finding a couple small, easy to fix errors is always a good thing here. All right, we're almost out of time. I gotta jump. Any last comments? Anyone in Toronto that wants to come out and meet us in person? We'll be on John Street, 35 John Street next Tuesday. Jed and crew in New York. If you want to do a Zoom, maybe we could do a quick Zoom and do a hello from both cities. I don't know. And
Sure. Although I'll need to defer to Willie V3 to figure out how to get the JustWorks system connected to whatever you're doing out in Toronto.
yeah, we basically just have the Wi-Fi that the tribal scale guys give us, and we'll connect to a Zoom or something.
Cool.
Ruv, I just wanted to add that like the system that you've built with all these MCPs and the flow-nexus stuff is absolutely mind-boggling. It's incredible, right? At the same time, and off the back of what Mondweep said, I'm really keen to see Claude Flow kind of continue as a going concern for Agentics, because that's what drew me into this community was actually these orchestration tools, starting with Spark and that stuff, and coming into Claude Flow. Um, it's the stuff that makes it really easy to use and really robust to generate code that I'm interested in. So if there's some way we can all kind of support you and collaborate to keep it going with Claude Flow, or perhaps even a provider agnostic tool, whether that's open code or something like it. Yeah, I'd love to see that carry on.
No, I agree. And I totally let's make it happen. In a perfect world, if I could support myself just building crazy things all day, that's would be what I'd like to do. I do the consulting stuff because I gotta pay my mortgage, right? So let's
Yeah,
figure
man.
figure it out, right? There's only so much time in a day and the week that
That's it.
I can do this stuff. I'm already, working probably too much, but maybe there's a way for us
That's
to
it.
collaborate.
Yeah, there's a lot of goodwill here, man. I'm sure we can make it happen.
All
Hey,
right.
on that note, very quickly, so you was have been saying that the messaging and the newsletter stuff that we did, we need to do more. So because lots of chapters are present here, a few of us will put on the Discord channel. But I think from the chapters, if there's something happening, like I think we will create a shared document. Could you just put some highlights there, because we would like to get a regular newsletter out probably every Tuesday or Wednesday from the next couple of weeks. So a few of
This
us are
from the
working. So
Finnish
just a general
perspective.
message.
I'm
Yeah. So we've got a template. I did a few newsletters, about 2-3 months ago at this point, and they did well. We had a lot of readers, and we've got a lot of subscribers and all that sort of stuff. So with any of this stuff, it's just a matter of continually doing it every week, and that's why this event or these online things work so well, because we do it every week, and it just after time it just kind of builds momentum and continue. So we just have to do it.
Hey, what do you think about an live meeting with the like a agentic vibe coding with the like a chapter ambassadors or something like that? I'm trying to plan like if we could meet somewhere in live. Would it be possible?
So
Like
you
in
want
live
all
in
the ambassadors in one room?
Yeah, probably.
That's probably difficult. We've got people in what, 40 something countries.
So you want everyone to go to Toronto?
I don't want everyone, but
Oh,
who are volunteers or maybe to like offer the opportunity that this would be a day that many people would go or something like just like a meetup, I know. It would be really nice to meet you all of it, guys. You just remember last Friday we were talking about the same kind of a idea.
by the way,
Yeah.
next week I'm taking my daughter to Ohio. So if I disappear, I'm probably in like Guantanamo Bay or something. But I won't be able to do Thursday or Friday next week. She's her favorite artist is coming to Ohio, so she and I are doing a road trip. But to your point, yeah, I don't know about meeting in person. We'll see how it goes with me going to the US. Last time I went, they stuck me in a room for several hours. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time.
I
We'll
apologize on behalf of the
In
American.
Germany, they have double S. You had four S in your ticket. So
well,
He's driving.
I'm driving, but last time I took my family to New York on a road trip, and they stuck me in this room for 4 hours while they just sat in the sort of waiting area and asked me questions about AI. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with my daughter, because that would be traumatic for her. But so I'm a little nervous, but we're gonna give it a go.
Well, I hope
we'll
they
see
learn
what-
something from you.
Yeah, when they literally asked me what does AI stand for, I said Adobe Illustrator.
They are afraid that you will replace them as a like a control. So just next
Yeah.
time you won't be here, we're gonna be my agents.
Yeah, needless to say, I'm a little nervous. Like and be honest, I lived in Seattle for years and lived in New York and spent a lot of time in the US. I just whatever, it's been difficult for me. I don't know why. I guess
Thanks,
maybe
Rick.
maybe I should have called it the AI hackerspace. That probably was my undoing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen.
All right. If I
much.
disappear, well, tomorrow we're doing the AI hackerspace. Maybe we'll have to rebrand that. But so anyone that wants to present, let Rob or I know, and we can see what you guys are doing.
Rob, we may just do another office hours.